Again, graphic. Ventura's husband, Alex, Fine, at one point walking out of court as his wife was peppered with questions about allegedly being raped. Also today, Dawn Richard spotted entering court, the former member of Diddy's girl group, Diddy Cassie, who prosecutors also called to the stand.
This week has been extremely challenging, but also remarkably empowering and healing for me. I hope that my testimony has given strength and a voice to other survivors and can help others who have suffered to speak up and also heal from abuse and fear. For me, the more I heal, the more I can remember. And the more I can remember, the more I will never forget.
Is there anything that you may want to confess tonight before you go in?
I keep everything right here. Or right.
This is adorable, but not after what we now know, because what Cassie was concealing was not merely a secret. Rather, it was a silent scream. A decade of violence, fear, humiliation, and control followed. And on that very night, it was reported that Diddy beat her in the Met Gala restroom. And worse, other celebrities reportedly witnessed it and turned a blind eye. Now, after testifying in Dee's criminal trial while 9 months pregnant, Cassie is finally speaking the truth, and it's far worse than anyone could have ever imagined. We're having a few parties with strangers while facing threats of blackmail and an extremely intense emotional breakdown, she said. Now that the video is out in the courtroom, doors have been thrown open, and let's discuss what Cassie survived and what this means for Diddy's sentence. She wanted to walk into traffic and compared it to all of Ike Turner, like you guys in the anime Eat the Cake. From decaying in jail, these are the questions his attorneys have been posing. Why didn't Cassie speak up sooner if her life with Diddy was so awful? The explanation is actually rather simple.
Cassie, she was embarrassed by it. She even talked about, what would I tell my mom if something like this got out?
She had a terrible fear of what Diddy would do next if she ever tried to get close to him. In a 2017 text exchange, she remarked, "Nothing good comes out of freaks." She continues by saying, "You treat me like you're Ike Turner." And that was a reference to the pain she claims to have endured. Cassie weaponized those 8 words, which held generations of pain because, as you well know from the story of Iconina, it was never intended to be a casual name drop like Ike Turner, only in relation to bruises. When it all began, Cassie was still a teenager and a rising singer with a fresh face. Diddy was almost 40 years old, and instead of promoting her, he locked her down. It was about owning someone and controlling what they wore, ate, sang, felt, and was about fear so intense that it made you stay, lie, smile, and even love yourself. When did you sign with Bad Boy Records? It was a 10-album deal in 2006. Did you release any after the end of 2006? No, you heard her. He promised her 10 albums and provided her one. But instead, she endured 10 years of unimaginable cruelty. Cassie told the court that she didn't even just endure or was prepared for it, made to feel special, and gradually deprived of agency year after year. Like Tina Turner, Cassie was supposed to act politely in public and keep quiet in private. But now that she has spoken out, she has detailed everything from being coerced into having sex with male escorts to being physically abused, days prior to a male escort and having her urination captured on camera without permission. When Daniel Filla took the stand, he told some crazy allegations. He claimed that Diddy had forced him to hold Cassie's lips while she suffocated and had recorded the entire incident for blackmail. He also claimed to have seen Cassie twice, grabbing her by the hair and dragging her. Cassie is now verifying the horror for herself after she informed the prosecutor yesterday. "Why were you choking too much in my mouth?" She was screaming when he pushed her into the bedroom, and what I heard sounded like him slapping her. "This makes my skin crawl." She also claimed, "I was expected to do freak-offs on my period. Did you want to do that, no? And this Diddy's ex. Did you want Sean to do that? I didn't want anyone to do it to me." How often did it happen frequently enough? Let that settle with you for a while.
Diddy's ex, Cassie Ventura, who is 9 months pregnant, was on the stand for the 2nd day in a row. The jury was shown photos and past injuries. She also testified the freak-offs left her with sores, frequent UTIs, and stomach.
I wrote, Please delete the videos off your phone. Too many people have access to your devices. She claimed she couldn't say no without endangering her safety, so why would you speak to him gently? I didn't want him to get upset. This wasn't just some wild nights or some kink. It was ritualistic, by degrading. No iCloud. All good, he said. Imagine how it would have felt for Cassie to reveal all of this while 9 months pregnant in front of Diddy, knowing that millions of people would be able to hear her testimony at this trial. Cassie. Ventura has been fairly stoic, but this afternoon she broke down in tears. Ambient was kicking in, and when she finally left him, he allegedly raped her during a closure conversation on her living room floor.
She did, Eva, and she had kept her composure for most of her 4 days on the witness stand under really uncomfortable cross-examination and testimony generally, the most intimate, graphic, demeaning things that you could imagine she spoke about in open court in front of everybody. And she broke down today when she was asked by prosecutor Emily Johnson on redirect examination whether Sean Combs had her during freak-offs, those marathon-fueled sessions with male.
Her tears brought others to tears, but the quote that most people found shocking was the one that made this more than just a financial issue. I would give the money back because I would have agency and autonomy, and I wouldn't have to work so hard to get those things back. She was referring to the $20 million Diddy gave her to settle her lawsuit, and she said that she would give it all back just to have her freedom, because that isn't just heartbreak. That's a woman screaming for freedom, and that's precisely what Tina Turner fought for as well. She once said, "I felt obligated to stay there, and I was afraid I didn't want to hurt him. And after he beat me up, I was just sitting there all bruised and torn, and all of a sudden I'm feeling sorry for him. Maybe I was brainwashed. I felt like an object being heavily objectified by men." And Cassie told the court that she frequently blamed herself for what happened. She covered up her bruises, took the shame, and smiled when she wanted to disappear. She was leading 2 lives, one that the public loved, and one that the mirror could hardly recognize. Cassie was experiencing such severe trauma that her own spouse had to leave when she talked about being in
The defense dragging it out, trying to force a mistrial. The testimony, again graphic. Ventura's husband, Alex Fine, at one point walking out of court as his wife was peppered with questions about allegedly being. Also today, Dawn Richard spotted entering court, the former member of Diddy's girl group, Diddy Cassie, who prosecutors also called to the stand.
She didn't have to testify because she had already received a $20 million settlement, but she showed up 9 months pregnant because she wanted to regain her agency. However, she was unaware that the real storm was approaching because, just as her courtroom testimony was beginning to fade from the trending page, the 2018 Met Gala interview appeared, and instead of Cassie testifying, real-life footage of her face was shown. This moment was something everyone missed, and it was about to blow the lid off of everything. The Met Gala is meant to be the most exclusive night in fashion. But in 2018, something else appeared behind the scenes that no one dared discuss.
Anything that you may want to confess tonight before you go in.
I keep everything right here.
There you go.
Or right here.
There you go.
And people thought it was just a cute, possibly mysterious Cassie at the time. But now it feels like a code. A woman blinking in Morse, hoping that someone would read between the seams of her custom designer gown and help her. Because behind that fashion and the flashbulbs, Cassie claims that she was being controlled, humiliated, and beaten every single day. That very night, according to several sources and industry rumors, Cassie was allegedly raped by Diddy in a matte yellow bathroom with other celebrities present, and they did nothing. The thing about Diddy is that they don't just hurt you in private. They do it in front of people who are too afraid to speak up. However, let's go back to what Cassie said under oath just days ago, where she described a world where she wasn't allowed to say no, where her schedule, body, and even her intimate health was managed for one reason: freak-offs. The freak-offs became a job. There was no time for anything else but to do them. Then, she said, the aftermath left her with sores and a frequent UTI that stopped responding to medication. The UTI was painful, yes, and the antibacterials stopped working. How did it feel to be forced to participate? She was allegedly filmed and recorded, and he threatened to release the freak-off videos if she ever stepped out of line. I was dating someone else, and he threatened to release the videos. He said that if she ever stepped out of line, she would have to answer to her mother. It's terrible and disgusting. No one should do that to anyone. What did Sean say? The impact would be shame, to quickly snap into position. The controlled speech, the rigid body language, the way Diddy watched and laughed behind her in that video, and the scene after the carpet that no one witnessed on the live feed, based on rumors heightened by insider information and judicial testimony. That night, Cassie was beaten in a private bathroom and she wasn't alone. According to reports, other celebrities were nearby, possibly even in the room, and whether they heard the thuds and shouts or saw her emerge shaken, no one spoke, because in 2018, Diddy wasn't on trial and was still untouchable. He was Puff, Brother Love P, a mogul who could make or break a career with a single phone call, and Cassie was just another artist who got lucky by dating the boss. Was the scene at the Met Gala, and it was a pretty perfect snapshot of what Cassie claims she endured for a full decade. A glamorous mask concealing bruises and trauma under a couture partner who was accepted by everyone because he wrote those checks. A room full of powerful people who knew but still said, "That's none of my business," and a time when I couldn't handle the pain and tried to leave in traffic. She testified that Diddy would throw her up against walls, stomp her face, and drag her across hotel floors, and at one point, she was allegedly thrown across patio furniture after being dangled off a balcony. Ventura's settled lawsuit claimed that she was attempting to leave the hotel after a drunk Combs punched her. The video seemed to show Combs chasing her down the hall, throwing her to the ground, and then repeatedly kicking her. Rumors circulated, and people were incensed, but Diddy's team, as usual, remained silent. However, on the third day in a row, jurors watched hotel surveillance footage of Diddy and Cassie. The full unedited 15-minute version of the footage was shown as evidence, showing moments we hadn't seen before, such as Cassie waiting for the elevator while wearing a dark hoodie. The security director responding to the attack took these photos of the aftermath, including broken vases and marks on the wall. The jury didn't just watch the attack. They held the evidence. The federal agents brought out the money, the baby oil, and everything Cassie said was part of the takeoff setup, confirmed by items recovered in Dee's hotel room the night he was arrested. The journalists inside the room were silent because the edited version we'd all seen before was minor compared to what they saw. The unedited footage showed what Cassie claimed happened immediately before, and after that she was trying to flee, that the attack was the result of a KO gone wrong, that she was calling the front desk barefoot and desperate to get help, and that Diddy followed her, dragged her back, and allegedly destroyed the hotel room in the process.
So the federal agent who helped coordinate the search of Sean Combs' hotel room, she's the one that held up $9,000 in cash, kind of fanned it like a deck of cards for the jury to see. She also testified that there was ketamine and MDMA found in Combs' hotel room and other, well, kinds of supplies that Cassie Ventura said he would stock for freak-offs.
And when the prosecution posed the one question that silenced the room, did he beat you during knockoffs? Cassie's eyes brimmed with the answer, yes. So we're now discussing surveillance film rather than simply accusations. Testimony from witnesses, federal raids with obvious injuries, and a survivor prepared to put all on the line for her tranquility interview. 1423. 1430. However, it took this long for the world to believe her, which leads us to the actual question. Why did they remain silent? Everyone knew. Cassie wasn't confined to a basement. Instead, she was on the red carpet, in front row seats at fashion shows, and walking hand in hand with Diddy at the Mela, Grammys, BET Awards, and other events. Throughout it all, she was acting like a, according to Cassie's testimony, following a wild night. Diddy kept an army of assistants, bodyguards, and celebrity friends around him. Cassie was treated like an object, sometimes pushed, slapped, and stumped in front of them. These powerful, connected, and opinionated people did a dang thing. When she arrived at a party bruised and battered, A BET executive told her to smile instead of asking if she was okay. This is because when it's Diddy, you smile. You have to have the right vibe. You laugh. And you post the picture because nobody wants to be the one to ruin that vibe. Those who attempted to assist were either shut out or shut up once, even after being defeated. This was Diddy's response, and Cassie's own comments after she called Scott Messy Kid Cudi for assistance. Sean claimed that he wanted Scott's friends to witness Scott's car being blown up. You may have heard that after Cassie sought help from her ex-boyfriend, his car was blown up. If that sounds like a movie storyline, that's how Diddy allegedly used power, money, and fear. Daniel Phillips, when the defense asked the male escort who testified a few days ago why he didn't speak up, I thought, this is someone with unlimited power, and even if I did go to the police, I might still lose my life. Additionally, for those who weren't directly threatened by Diddy and came from an image-driven industry, who would speak up when the man holding the checkbook, let's take a moment to discuss Danny Kane's own Dawn Richard. She was called to testify as a former artist under Diddy, and similar to Cassie, she filed a lawsuit against him in 2023, accusing him of exploitation and abuse. Did you see Kay when he was your producer? Excuse me, were you able to interview?
Diddy Kane, did Diddy you when he was your producer? Did you see Cassie? Were you able to see Cassie?
Did Dawn worked with Cassie for years and saw it all happen, but now she's not holding back. She asked where his phone was, and he threw her to the ground, attempting to kick her. She fell to the ground and tried to hide her head in the fetal position. Dawn also claimed that she saw Day hit Cassie with a skillet full of eggs, and she was scared for Cassie but even more afraid for herself if she spoke up. Even after the survivor came forward, the silence from other celebrities is deafening. Where are the apologies from people who stood beside Diddy on these red carpets? I posted the Me Too when it was trending, then quickly scrolled past Cassie's suffering. But let's be honest for a moment. The industry shielded him from punishment because the hits kept coming. Cassie was young and attractive, so they didn't notice if she was a woman with privilege. But even now, after the tapes, pictures, and 15-minute hotel security footage, the silence is still going strong. When Cassie left the courtroom, she didn't say much, but her lawyer did, and her words hit like a gavel.
Extremely challenging, but also remarkably empowering and healing for me. I hope that my testimony has given strength and a voice to other survivors and can help others who have suffered to speak up and also heal from the and fear. For me, the more I heal, the more I can remember. And the more I can remember, the more I will never forget.
And is a mission statement rather than merely a news release. What a crazy week it has been, and now the industry is trembling because if Diddy goes down, he is not going alone. So here's what I learned from you. Do you think that Cassie was the only one fighting for herself? Cassie is now speaking for every woman who has ever been groomed to be silent and allowed to rot behind someone else's shine. The trial isn't even close to being finished, so make sure to subscribe, get that fresh brew tea, and stay tuned, because the next update might just make Hollywood burn. But why do you think that celeb remained silent for so long? And do you think there are more videos out there just waiting to drop? Let me know your thoughts and comments below.